Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, June the 16th, 2025. And this week we have some significant planetary changes. Mars, ambitious warrior Mars, is going into Virgo as it does once every 2 years, and the Sun is leaving 4 weeks in Gemini and moving into nurturing but sometimes moody Cancer. But let's start with Monday the 16th, and I always start with where is the moon, because the moon describes the overall public tone, public reactions. Well, it's in Aquarius. Aquarius is more mental, detached, very futuristic oriented, group oriented. But at 11:09 a.m. Pacific time, the moon leaves quirky, brilliant Aquarius and moves into sensitive, compassionate, sensitive Pisces. And before it goes into Pisces, the moon is going to be in a hard angle to Mars and to Uranus. So there's a lot of Mars is that impatient, anxious energy, Uranus more rebellious, unexpected energies. So from about 9 a.m. until the moon changes signs at 11:09 a.m. Pacific time, there could be a lot of unstable, anxious energies. After the moon goes into more sensitive, compassionate Pisces at 11:09 a.m., it's going to be trining or in harmony with Cancer, with Jupiter in Cancer, because Cancer's a water sign, the moon's in Pisces, a water sign. The moon, your emotions, excellent with Jupiter. They're feeling very expansive, very optimistic, very hopeful about the future. You may be inclined to study, go back to school, that's the Jupiter. Thinking about travel plans, that's the Jupiter. On Tuesday, the moon, as it's continuing in empathetic, creative Pisces, Mars, ambitious, assertive Mars, is going into Virgo until the first part of August. So it's going to be there for a good 6, even over 6 weeks. Virgo is more work-oriented, service-oriented. This can be very favorable for getting a lot of work tasks accomplished. It's very good for wanting to be of service and help those less fortunate. That's that background of Mars in Virgo into early August. But the moon in Pisces will be in a sextile, positive energies to pleasurable, cooperative Venus from about 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific time. This is very favorable for relationships, for any kind of meetings, we're all on the same page, for any type of creative desires. And then by late afternoon, the moon in Pisces will be in harmony with communication Mercury in Cancer. Again, they're both in water signs. And so being able to express your feelings, it's very favorable for meetings, for writing, for expressing yourself, for speaking. On Wednesday, the 18th, with the moon continuing in empathetic, compassionate Pisces, it's in a hard angle to more intellectual, detached Gemini. So emotionally, around noon, 1 p.m. Pacific time, you may be feeling a bit out of sync. You certainly wouldn't want to be having important meetings, making important decisions. The moon will then leave sensitive Pisces and goes into energetic, ambitious, assertive Aries at 4:08 p.m. Pacific time. And by mid-evening, 8-9 p.m. Pacific time, the moon in Aries will be crossing Saturn and Neptune. Both have recently entered into Aries. And so that moon in Aries is very aggressive, very assertive, very impatient, and triggering in with the Saturn and the Neptune. That Saturn can bring in that restrictedness, that Neptune can be all confusing. So they mid-evening Pacific time, so fortunately most people listening, they'll be sleeping because this can trigger, in general, a certain amount of anxiety. On the 19th, the moon in Aries is not making any aspects to other planets on the 19th, and the sun is at the last degree of Gemini. And so there's a lot of transitional energies going on. But the moon in Aries, a fire sign, is heating up passionately the sun in Gemini, an air sign. So can be a lot of intellectual stimulations, a lot of meetings and connections that can be a lot of brainstorming, if you will. But on Friday, the moon is in Aries, and by 6:53 p.m., it's moving into Taurus. Aries is very fiery and impatient and very assertive. When the moon once a month goes into Taurus, it's more grounding, it's more stabilizing, and all day, from the day before on 19th, the sun is at the last degree of Gemini and goes into 0 degrees of Cancer at 7:43 p.m. Pacific time. So the moon is changing signs, the sun is changing signs, but by early evening Pacific time, they would have shifted from moon in Taurus, the sun in Cancer. Taurus is an earth sign, Cancer is a water sign, so there's a lot of stabilizing, grounding energy, very compatible energy with each other. But most of the day till early evening, the moon is getting ready to change signs, the sun is getting ready to change signs. So there's a lot of transitional energy, a lot of uncertain energies. Now, on Saturday, the moon continues in Taurus. It's going to be in harmony with the sun in Cancer, and there's no other planetary events with the moon or what have you. So this is a very calming, grounding. Now, this could be very favorable as we're going into a Saturday night with that sun in Cancer, wanting to entertain at home, be more with family, closer to home, and with the Taurus being more sensual, more steady, more grounded. As we go into Sunday, the moon, it continues in sensual, stabilizing, calming Taurus, and assertive Mars will be in Virgo, an earth sign, will be in harmony with expansive Jupiter in Cancer, a water sign. Now, with that Mars-Jupiter, it could trigger achieving a lot of goals, feeling successful in any kind of business projects. And by later in the day, the sun in Cancer will be squaring a hard angle to Saturn. Now, that could put in a lot of concentrated hard work. So I think with the Mars to Jupiter for the day, you're going after some major goals where you're feeling very optimistic about it, and the Sun-Saturn can either delay it for some of you and make it more of a struggle, but the Mars-Jupiter, you're still achieving your goals, or the Sun-Saturn represents you're building something that's long-term, just taking a lot of effort and a lot of hard work, but the Mars-Jupiter is bringing in luck and success. The moon will leave Taurus and go into witty Gemini, kind of restless, fickle Gemini, conversational Gemini at 7:58 p.m. Pacific time. So there's a lot of good brainstorming. So where you might have been stuck because of the Sun-Saturn, that in moon in Taurus can also be stubborn. As the moon, the public moon, goes into Gemini, you're much more flexible, adaptable, coming up with new ideas to help achieve these goals. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.